Ayes have it. I'd just like to draw to members' attention and wish to recognise in the presence in the gallery former member Ms Rebecca Vassarotti, as well as, there you are, as well as Senator Hanson-Young, who's come to pay us a visit from the Hill, and Ms Lakuta's here as well, Ms Lakuta. And probably Shane's mum's here as well, but I don't know if she's here. Is she? Yes, there she is. I'll give you a mention as well. So, on behalf of the members of the Assembly, you're most welcome, and I call Mr Rattenbury.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I seek leave to make a valedictory statement.
Is leave granted?
Yes.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, colleagues. I thank you for the opportunity to make some remarks today on my final sitting day here in this chamber. And I welcome family, friends, current and former colleagues and members of the community who have honoured me by being here today. All the speeches we give in this place, there is a very particular pressure inherent on a valedictory speech. It is both a moment of reflection and of casting an eye to the future. There is thanks to give, stories to be shared and lessons to be imparted, and a clear expectation for some humour along the way. I cannot guarantee a Saturday Night Live skit, but I will do my best. I first stood here as a budding new MLA in 2008 and said, I enter the Assembly with a great sense of responsibility and a great sense of optimism. Responsibility because of the great challenges we face, optimism because I do believe that there are solutions and that a better future is possible. I am here to make that optimism a reality. Back then, I believed that when the moment calls, you step up. 17 and a half years later, I still believe that, but I understand much more clearly what it takes. I grew up in a small town on the south coast. I watched my mum and my brother and my broader family step up as part of our community, whether it was volunteering with Meals on Wheels or supporting the local theatre company. When action was needed, everybody chipped in. Each member of the community created a thread, and when woven together, it becomes a beautiful tapestry of humans connecting and supporting each other. When the opportunity came for me to come to Canberra for my education, once again my mum stepped up to the challenge, packed up our family and relocated us all over the mountain. I was a child of the 80s, with a dorky haircut and bad fashion, but equally inspired by the big environmental campaigns, saving Antarctica from mining, repairing the hole in the ozone layer, protecting native forests. Those issues showed me that when people stepped up together, change is possible. I saw the challenges our world was facing, and I knew a better future was possible. I could see it. I ventured out into the world of activism and environmental protection. Work that challenged and inspired me, allowed me to explore our planet and understand the challenges we are facing more deeply. Working with Greenpeace International, we stood alongside communities around the world, stepping up and taking action together to protect the oceans, the forests and our climate. Returning to Canberra and running for a seat in the ACT Legislative Assembly gave me the chance to step up and take action in the community that I called home. I stand here now, some 17 and a half years later, with a mixture of pride at the progress we have driven and the changes we have made for the people of Canberra, and a restlessness, knowing that there is still much more to be done. That is both the privilege and the burden of politics. The more you change, the more there is still to do. And in here we can make a real change. Change that is meaningful and impactful on people's everyday lives. Sometimes it's the small things, like helping someone get a footpath fixed or accessing a service they need. And sometimes it is big steps, the systemic change, like legislating climate targets, raising the age of criminal responsibility, introducing a charter of rights for victims of crime, or getting our light rail network underway. Whether big or small, the work we do in this place is important, and I feel so lucky that I've been able to do it for as long as I have. On climate action in particular, I do leave this place proud. I started this job just 1 year after leading the Greenpeace delegation to the 2007 United Nations climate talks, where the message was clear: those with the capacity to act must step up. Over the last 17 odd years, that's exactly what we have done in the ACT. After winning the balance of power in 2008, we heeded that call from the UN and insisted that the ACT adopt ambitious, legislated emission reduction targets that match the science. By 2010, that legislation was in place and laid the foundations for where we are today. We have halved our emissions compared to 1990. We have 100% renewable electricity. We have set the goal to electrify our city and have started to phase out fossil fuel gas. There is sweet, sweet irony that every time Barnaby Joyce, Matt Canavan and all the other fossil fuel fanatics come to federal parliament, they work in a building that is powered by 100% renewable electricity. That is a joy I will take with me well beyond politics. The ACT's progress on climate action offers lessons for governments in how to deliver bold reform. When you set a goal, define clear targets and a defined timeline, you can take an entire community with you. This approach generates ongoing accountability and creates clarity and the authorising environment for the public service, the business sector and community organisations. You take deliberate steps forward, you keep evolving, but with your focus always fixed on the end goal. Of course, it would be remiss of me to reflect on these achievements without recognising the partnership the Greens have held with the Labor Party. The collaboration between our parties hasn't always been easy, but the Greens, being the smaller party, comes with obvious challenges. But this partnership was effective in delivering some great outcomes for our community. It is a credit to both our parties that we have been able to articulate and maintain a shared agenda, agree the path as we have gone along, and largely iron out our differences. I would like to acknowledge colleagues in the Labor Party, particularly Katie Gallagher and Andrew Barr in their roles as Chief Minister through that period. I believe that through our collective efforts, we were able to demonstrate how an effective two-party government on the progressive side of politics could work. We demonstrated the dynamism of such an arrangement. No one could just assume they would get what they wanted, but there was goodwill to work together and get things done. Andrew, we have each led parties with a different view of the world, but I have always respected your dedication, your intellect, your pragmatism, and your clear sense of where you were going. Ministers in the ACT get to hold a range of portfolios, and over the course of 12 years, as the ACT's third longest serving minister, I've held my fair share. While there are some areas that I had more obvious background or experience in, just like you would never ask a parent to pick their favourite child, I could never choose a favourite portfolio. Each came with its own challenges and complexities, its own learnings and opportunities. Every portfolio offers the chance to step up and make things happen. I've already spoken about the achievements in my role as Climate and Energy Minister. As Attorney-General, I improved renters' rights, implementing minimum energy efficiency standards and ending no-cause evictions. As Minister for the portfolio formerly known as TAMS, I delivered some of the most progressive animal welfare legislation in the country, banning battery cages and sow stalls and puppy and kitten farms in the Territory. As Mental Health Minister, I oversaw the introduction of the PACER model in the ACT, combining police, ambulance and mental health clinicians in a single mental health response to improve patient care. As Corrections Minister, I worked with Woononga to make the Alexander McConaughey Centre the only jail in Australia with an Aboriginal community-controlled health service operating inside the wire. There are plenty more. In doing some research for this speech, the Assembly Library informed me that I have 2,148 media releases on file. But you can relax, I do not plan to reminisce on each of them. It did seem at one point that Labor leaders around the country were swapping notes as to which portfolios to give new Greens ministers, with Nick McKim in Tasmania and myself both being handed the corrections portfolio straight off the bat. I think they figured it would keep us in hot water. The funny thing was we both loved it. A tough portfolio, but one where when you get it right, you really improve the lives of some of our most challenged members of the community. And here I do want to acknowledge the ACT Public Service. I simply loved working with them. I have met so many dedicated people, experts in their field, brimming with ideas and here to serve their community. From the DLOs to the Directors General, From the comms officers to the custodial officers, the lawyers to the librarians, thank you for your support, advice and hard work. I also throw out a challenge to our public service. When you have a long-term government like we do, it is incumbent on you to not become habituated, to not sit with the comfort of knowing what you think the minister wants and just serving it up. Now more than ever, we need you to be frank and fearless, to speak truth to power. This community needs you to be challenging them from within, to continue to strive for better, to say what you think, even if it is not always welcome. It has been widely reported that I was the first Green Speaker of a parliament anywhere in the world. What is less widely reported on is that I took the Speaker's chair on my very first day in this place, with no parliamentary experience. It was quite the baptism of fire. I am sure that for the old hands of the Assembly, Mr Barr being one at the time, it was a little frustrating as I fumbled my way through those first sittings. They were mostly patient. With hindsight, it is not something I would recommend to a newbie. And I cannot thank enough Tom Duncan, the clerk, and his team for nursing me through that phase. And there is a funny symmetry to the fact that now the only other member remaining of the class of 2008, Mr Hanson, is the Speaker, as we both finish our time in this place. Cut from different cloth, but bookends of an era in one capacity. One of the great opportunities in this Assembly is the ability to pass private members' legislation. And as the Greens, we have sought to make the most of that. Why wouldn't you? You can turn an issue that you and the community care about into actual law, with amazing support from the Parliamentary Counsel Office to ensure that you get it right. During my tenure, I have had 15 private members' bills passed. Funnily enough, that is exactly the same tally as the entire Liberal Party during the same period. But hey, who's counting? I did check. My bills have included creating an exclusion zone for protesters around the ACT's abortion clinics so that women can seek medical care with dignity and without harassment. Another overhauled our Freedom of Information Act to improve access to government documents, and this term my bill added the right to housing to our Human Rights Act. It is such an important opportunity to do private members' bills, and ones we shouldn't take for granted. I encourage all non-executive members to make the most of this tool, just as Mr Werner Gibbings did yesterday. And there is another benefit. In the Greens, we have a tradition of making a themed cake to mark the success of passing a private member's bill. This is a celebration that can require some creativity to design a cake that matches what the bill is all about. It can be relatively straightforward for some, such as the right to housing. When Amanda Bresnan passed a bill on workplace surveillance and privacy, the cake was in the shape of a CCTV camera. Caroline Lakuta's bill on shopping trolley return systems was reasonably self-evident, but I must confess that the design of the cake for my Administrative Decisions Judicial Review Amendment Bill does not clearly come to mind. As an MLA, you are afforded an extraordinary opportunity to get to know this city in ways that you did not know existed, by virtue of the many invites and experiences that we are offered. While it takes a lot of time, it is a part of the role I've always loved, getting out there, seeing what people are doing and appreciating the enormous contribution that is being made by members of our community, creating the fabric of our city, one volunteering action at a time. It takes me back to my community down the coast, the tapestry now bigger and more colourful than ever. And then there are the random things you get to do, things that definitely were not in the job description. I have driven an action bus, toured a sewer system, seen the inside of more jails than the average person, had dinner with both Matt Canavan and Angus Taylor, done a lap of Bathurst in an electric vehicle, toured a brothel, sung Darryl Braithwaite's Horses on stage at a Lifeline charity ball, tried my hand at stand-up comedy and invited the Queensland Premier for a drink at Mooseheads. I would like to assure you that all of these things were done for work purposes. Which brings me to another reflection on this place, what it means to be a public figure. Now, I don't want to sound naive or strange about this. It was never something I contemplated before being elected, but it manifests in many ways that you might not expect. I have received an email from someone who spotted me jaywalking somewhere in Civic one day, and they took the time to write and express their condemnation of my actions. Indeed. Another time I had come in to do a media interview in the middle of the Christmas holidays. Admittedly, I had not shaved and had a bit of holiday stubble going on. Subsequently, I received an email from someone appalled by this conduct, describing how embarrassed they were to have to admit to their international visitors that the apparently scruffy-looking individual on TV was in fact the Speaker of their local parliament. Then there was my infamous run-in with a kangaroo that saw stories go around the world and had former colleagues in Europe messaging to check that I was okay. It was the early days of social media when the term viral was primarily used in a medical context. I posted a photo of my injuries to my personal Facebook thinking my running buddies would find it amusing. Next thing I know, I'm on morning radio on 2CC with the one and only Mark Parton. He broke the story that would very quickly garner the interest of CNN and the Indian Express, to name but a few. Sometime later, a press release emerged from a group campaigning against the kangaroo cull, alleging that there was, in fact, no kangaroo involved and that I had faked the injury. No, this is true. That I had faked the injury to demonise kangaroos to justify the annual conservation cull. They even had a doctor examine the photo of my wounded leg, and he confidently proclaimed that these injuries were clearly not from kangaroo claws, but rather I had used a sharp stick or a piece of wire to inflict the injuries on myself. I will use my parliamentary oath to assure you all that the wounds were most definitely inflicted by a kangaroo. And then there was the time I revealed to a journalist that I had once taken ecstasy at a party. We were campaigning to get pill testing in the ACT. In the course of the interview, the journalist asked me whether I had ever taken party drugs. In the split second, and ever the honest politician, I disclosed that I had. And of course, my answer became the headline. While some members of the community may have found that scandalous, I think the real problem for me was that the damage to my street cred amongst many of my own voters, who could not believe I'd only done it once. And then there was the awkward phone call to my mother to let her know she was about to see in the press that I had taken an illicit substance. The good news was that we did adopt pill testing in the ACT, first at festivals, later with a permanent testing site in the city. That is a reform that has undoubtedly saved lives in this town. Recreational quests aside, I have at times been referred to as a divisive figure. That does sit strangely for me as someone who has always sought to listen, to understand different perspectives and to find common ground wherever possible. But over time I have come to learn that being called divisive is sometimes what happens when you stand up for what you believe in, have the conviction to argue the case and press ahead in the face of headwinds. And this, I believe, is one of the greatest challenges facing modern politics. Our community is becoming more and more divided. The issues seem more complex and the stakes much higher than ever before. How can we find common ground when our grounds seem so far apart? How can we stand up for what we believe in and disagree with one another without tearing each other down? How do we find the space to fight fiercely to address the serious issues that we are faced with without creating so much space that our world is irrecoverably divided? To be honest, I don't know what the answer to that is, but I know that it is the responsibility of those in this place and others like it, our community leaders, to lead that journey. The challenge for those who remain and those who will come to this place is not to retreat into grievance or short-termism, but to step up and meet the challenge with integrity, ambition and courage. Because this place is not about us. It's about what we do with the privilege we are given by being elected here. That privilege is hard to step away from, but I have formed the view that it is time. As late as this morning, some generous colleagues suggested to me that it was not too late to change my mind and just continue on. But no, it is time. There is no single reason for that, and I'm sure others here will appreciate this. It is a mix of the draw of more time with family, family members' health, fatigue, the toll of public life, making space for others to step up, and the opportunity to try my hand at something new and contribute to our community in a different way. There are, of course, many people I want to thank. Over the course of 17 and a half years, there is a long list which I have necessarily sought to condense. Firstly, to those who have shared their stories with me over the years, especially those who have shared their stories in times of hardship and vulnerability, thank you. The inspiring stories, the insightful stories, painful stories, stories of frustration, funny stories. Every one of your stories has impacted me, taught me something, and formed part of the legacy I leave behind today. In that same vein, to the community organisations and volunteers, like the tapestry of generosity you have woven across our city, your impact is woven so deeply into this building, the journeys of all of us here, and of course into the stories of every Canberran you reach. Thank you for all you do for our wonderful city. Thank you, of course, to those who voted me into this place, first in the seat of Molonglo, later in Kurrajong. Thank you to the Greens members and supporters. We have laughed and cried together. We have debated, strategised and hoped. Thank you for your trust, your energy and your belief that politics can be a force for good. Together we have turned those hopes into reality and delivered on so many of the things we promised to do. To my Greens colleagues, past and present, both here and across the country, it has been an honour to stand alongside you, fighting the good fight. I especially want to acknowledge Bob Brown and Christine Milne, giants of our movement and our party, people I've looked up to and who have taken the time to support me along the way, and my good friends Ben Oaquist and Sarah Hanson-Young, always there and always wise. Through a span like this in the Assembly and through many ministerial portfolios, you can only prosper with great people around you. It is truly a team effort. In vague chronological order, I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart many of my staff team, including Tom Burmester, Helen Oakey, Richard Griggs, Anna Landon, who actually worked for Wayne Berry and is a life member of the Labor Party. Indra Esguerra, Matt Georgeson, Charlie Wood, Fiona Walls, Jarrah Robbins, Larry O'Loughlin, Rob Thorman, Ali Jakes, Tom Warren Smith, Laura Stewart, Nina Darwin, Lee Cox, Lisa Wills, Lisa Gelbart, Jarrah Aguera, Hal Judge, Sandra Capuccio, Anna Maguire, Logan McLennan, Sophie Trevitt, May Aziz, Christian Dent, Veronica Wensing, Michael Brewer, John Griffiths, Carol Bunt, Lewis Pope, Lachlan Roberts, Loy Lamb, Kylie Blakemore, Isabel Mudford, Guy Bromley, Amy Miller, Jordan Maloney, Jen Fairber, Kate Bills, Ella McAuliffe, Tony Dawes, Joe Higgins and Tamara Brown. And there is, despite that list, there is bound to be someone I have missed and I apologise. And there are also those staff who have worked for my fellow Greens MLAs and have helped me and our team. I deeply thank all of you for your contribution. And of course, our amazing and beloved volunteer, Melissa Benyon, who has been with my office so long we actually can't remember, but at least since 2018. To the older staff, thank you for being the glue that holds this place together. You certainly don't get enough credit for all the unseen work you do keeping this sausage factory going. And of course, a special mention of the clerk, Tom Duncan, ahead of his impending retirement. To the journalists and media who play such an important role in sharing the stories that keep our city connected, in a changing world, true and thoughtful journalism matters more than ever. I want to thank my family, to my mother Marcia for taking that first step, bringing this little beach grommet to the big city to start a new life that will be more fulfilling, exciting and challenging than he could ever have imagined. To my broader family, my sister Tammy, my stepfather Jim, Grace, one of my staunchest online defenders, my politics-loving uncles, who are always up for a chat and especially made the trip today, all my other aunts and uncles, my cousins, and my family on Louisa's side who have so generously embraced me and made the trip here today for many of them. And a special shout out to the grandkids, Will and Charlie, who's loving it so much he's having a nap. All of them have supported, encouraged and counselled me along the way, and I look forward to having more time to give back to you all now. Finally, and most importantly, my partner Louise. We met after I entered politics, and you nonetheless overlooked the inherent flaws of that lifestyle. I appreciate that. You have been a pillar of support across this journey, a constant source of wisdom and patience through it all. Quick with insightful political analysis, the one who reminds me what really matters. You have ridden the highs and lows with me, and you have worn the consequences of my career with grace. We have had fun and hardship. I could not have done it without you, and I will be eternally grateful. Thank you. I want to finish where this all began. I was a kid whose mum had the courage to step up, to leave a familiar life, to move our family and to build something better. Everything I've tried to do in this place has been guided by that same instinct, to step up when it matters and to help build something better for the people we serve. I came here with optimism and I'll leave with optimism. But that optimism is now grounded in experience and in the knowledge that progress is possible when people are willing to step up and do the work. To those who continue in this place, that is the task and that is the privilege. I have hope you will rise to meet it. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.